Hi everyone, welcome to our new setup for PowerThru, where we will be interviewing community members from our communities who are doing cool jobs and working on great projects. And I'm Sumi, I'm the Senior Program Manager at Empower You, and I'll also be your host for today. And today we have our guests, Neha and JJ. Welcome guys to our cozy setup. So maybe we'll just start off with like you guys introducing yourself, who you are, what you're currently working on, and any little bits and pieces you want to share about yourself to start off with. So maybe we'll start with Neha first.
Okay, sure. So I started with dancing at the age of 3. Right now I am a full-time teacher and I teach English, and then I also have a dance company named Rangmanch. But along the journey I had a lot of experiences with like dancing, and now I've also gotten into filmmaking and acting. So to start with, I started when I was 3. I took ballet first, and then I've done a bit of things here and there, like Latin, modern dance, Nepali, Bollywood, everything you can find in Hong Kong, I think. And yeah, there was a time I went to HKAPA for a program called Gifted Young Dancers Program, and I also was in Miss Hong Kong Nepal 2016. I got the 2 titles, Miss Talent and Miss Beauty with a Purpose, which was pretty, yeah, I was really grateful for receiving it. And I was the first runner-up at that time. And right now I have starred in one of the films called Woodhouse as an actress. And I think the journey is still yet to go on from here.
Well, thank you so much for sharing. And then moving on to our long-term instructor, JJ. How about you?
Well, that's very interesting. So my name is JJ. In my career, I actually started off doing sports in the very beginning. I played rugby and then moving towards architecture. And then, yeah, so those are the 2 main career paths that I've took. During high school, I was more into rugby. Then I was solely focused on trying to get into the national team. And I got into the Philippine national team, which is one of the greatest things that has ever happened to me, was because one is I get to understand the disciplines of what you need to do to get to that level. I mean, that's how I got the mentality on how I got into architecture as well. So during that, after high school, I went to foundation, and then went to higher diploma, and then did my bachelor's in architecture. So yeah, that's my kind of the one in a nutshell, as you can say.
We'll go deeper into it. But just quickly, can you guys remind us what secondary schools you went to?
I went to Sorry Kaduri Secondary School, West Kowloon.
And then
I went to Delia Hipwa.
Okay. So our EK and Hipwa students watching, you know, these are your alumni as well. So looking back, did you guys always know that you wanted to be into the, you know, the creative scene, acting, filmmaking, dancing? Did you know you always wanted to be in architecture? What were some of the earliest memories or moments in your life where you felt like, oh, okay, this is something that I would like to go into?
I think dance is something deeply rooted. When I was growing up, my mom used to tell me stories, and when she would tell me stories, she would do her little twirls and dances and then tell me the story through her expressions. And I used to get mesmerized by how my mom is telling stories. So I think storytelling was already like rooted in me at that time. But then I started with dancing because I think Hong Kong has more platforms for us to explore as a dancer. But for acting, like I tried throughout, even when I was in high school, there was something called applied learning. And at that time, I could choose either acting, or so I thought I could choose either acting or dancing in HKAPA. But then my application was rejected because they say you don't have the HKDSE Chinese, so we cannot cater it for you. So from a very educational level also, I feel like the resources were kind of cut off for a non-Chinese locals like me. So I couldn't really dive into acting so much at that time, but I was still using my free time to learn filmmaking, making, you know, little projects with my friends. But for dancing, I kept going on from there. So I think that was sort of my initial inspirations of how I got into it.
But you eventually did get into HKAPA, right? Or
yeah, that was so applied learning, I think, is about S3, S4 we get to do it. And HKAPA, I got in when I was in S5. I applied, and S6 I got in. That was for a separate program for dancing. And I think out of the around 10 students from my school that went to audition, I was the one that was selected. I don't know what they saw in me, because I was not really that well trained, because they have three main: ballet, Chinese, and contemporary dance. And I wasn't really like very like well trained or skilled in these three. My background was stronger in Latin at that time. And and I got in, and it was just the start. Like the journey was tough also in APA. I was there for about 2 years. But my teachers supported me a lot at that time.
Oh, wow. You had to do like a full-on audition in front of the
yes. I think there were
panels
two rounds. And the first audition is for ballet, Chinese, and contemporary. And then there's a freestyle. And that's very nerve-wracking.
Because we need some footage of the audition tapes.
Yeah. It was really big, the hall. So they can clearly see your moves, and you just have to let go and just be doing those moves that comes to your heart.
It takes guts to go in there and do it as well. Yeah. Oh, thanks for sharing.
That's crazy.
How about you, JJ? When did you know architecture is my dream, or where you wanted to head towards?
I would say, actually, I was talking to my fiance about it like 2 months ago. We were just thinking, what actually got the fire on this creative path that I've took. And I think it's going back to primary school, because back in primary school I was not academically great. I think it's just because like I didn't want to try academically. So I kind of always failed in high school, in primary school. But the only thing that kind of was great on my side was my creativity. So during VA lessons, we would have this assignment where we would build like a top hat. And then that's my first taste on building something, doing something tangible. And when I was doing that, I was putting so much passion into it. I was so focused on trying to work on it. And I think from that moment, when I presented my work, my teacher loved it. And that feeling of when a teacher finally recognizes what you have done, and they also put it into their board. So, and I also won competition from that as well. Like just a small thing in primary school, but that small thing meant a lot. And I think that was the start of that curiosity. And after that, the only thing that I seek was to build things. So I would build like RC cars. That was my beginning stages. And then afterwards, I would say it started from there, that I just wanted to do something that it's related to build. Not building, but just build something.
Just get your hands on.
Yeah, just getting hands on. And then, then going to high school when there is like competitions like logo design, where there's, where you get to do competition that's related to creativity. I would just do it and put all my focus into it. So I think that was the start of how we got there. And then, I would say that. And then what else was there?
So you touched a little bit on like high school, like trying out a few creative things. So let's jump to the high school days now. What was it like for you being a student in EK? What was it like for you being a student in Hippo? And just as a secondary student, if you were to look back and think about just how life was like, can you share a little bit about that?
Do you want to go first?
Yeah, I can go first. So back in high school, I think it's because because in my school, there's like the smart students, and then there's also students who were not academically great. So, I mean, I always say this because I was in that class, right?
Which one? The
the
smart and the non-smart?
Not smart class,
okay.
I would say. So we were not in a smart class, and then the environment was just messing around. We didn't really care about it. So that's why, like, during primary school, there was this trigger of like creativity and trying to really push. And then the environment switched when I went to high school and just messing around. So, and then back in high school, we would just mess around a lot. Throughout all my high school, all I focused on was sports, because that's the only thing that I would kind of relate with my classmates, because we are only just messing around or doing sports. That is it. And then so during that period, I was just doing that. And then in Form 4, there's an NGO that came to my high school, and that NGO came there, and
shout out to Kelly Support Group. Kelly Support.
Yeah, they changed my life. So this is how the story went. they went to our school, and they usually do a lot of drugs and alcohol
Awareness
awareness
campaigns,
things.
yeah.
And then at the end, they would always shout out like little bits of their programs. Like they have this small program for this small program for that. And then there's this program for work placement. And then the work placement program, they would pin it up, and I was like, should I really do it? And then when I grabbed it, I was like, I'm just gonna hold it on. I don't know what got into me, but I just hold on to it. And then it was music/VA lesson. So here it comes again, that VA lesson that.
Were you using your hands to do stuff?
No,
or
it
build things,
wasn't,
or?
because it was music lesson. It's because it's a split.
Oh,
So you
okay.
either had VA or music. At the time we had music. And then going in class, I had it with me, and we had an amazing teacher. His name is Mr. Tai. And he would always do is he would come in class, and instead of starting the class, he would ask how we're doing in general. Not a lot of teachers do that.
Checking in with the
Yeah.
students, yeah.
So sweet.
Then when he checked in, he was like, "Oh, what's that?" It's like, do I really want to do this? And then some of my classmates were like, "It's only $35 an hour, so it's a paid internship." I was like, "Do you really want to do it?" So no one want to do it, and it's your entire summer, right? And the summer, when you're messing around, that means you and your friends will always hang out like every day, right? So you know what? I'll just take this time and do it, because he was like, "You never know unless you try," and that was really powerful for me. Then I signed that, and then I did the kind of the workshop, the CV, the interview skills, how to dress up, and then that's where it all took off, where I get to finally had my first internship in an architecture firm, which I've worked at till now. I've been working there for almost 7 years, going 8 years, and yeah, then that's how I know that everything is about environment. That was the learning there. So during high school, I was just messing around, and then I think that is kind of one of the things back in high school.
So that exposure that summer kind of changed the way you looked at where you wanted to go ahead, like kind of like the trajectory of where you wanted to be.
But however, because of that, right? Like
there's always a
there's
I was
always
gonna say there's always a but there's always a however here.
I mean, I try to use different words, but yes. But after summer, you go back high school. So that means the environment changed again, and you're back to messing around, right? And I think the only one point that has changed was when I got out of high school, and that was when you get your DSE. I think that was pretty difficult.
The doomsday.
Yeah.
Where
the reason why is
results
because
coming out.
I had like a lot of dreams, right? Like when I first got the internship, I had this dream of like, okay, I can really make it into architecture. But then again, I wasn't really focused in school. Then during DSC period, you kind of, I just messed around. So I didn't really get my DSC score that I wanted.
Do you mind sharing what you got for DSC?
A lot of people don't believe me when I say this, because I finished uni and they don't believe it. But I only got 4 points on my DSC, and of course, everybody, when they got their results, right, you have to go into the school. You're gonna go to your high school, and then at that time, during that period, you want to kind of change your environment, so you try to hang out with more smart people, more in between,
Smart people,
right?
Yeah.
And then of course you get your results, and then you hear them, I'm going to CU, I'm going to HKU, CUHK, and you're in the corner like, oh my God, like everything
how did
is
that
doomsday.
feel?
I think it
when
feels kind of heartbreaking,
Yeah.
because you would get an SMS, right? So I didn't have any. I keep refreshing like, oh, am I gonna have it? Am I gonna have it? And as naive, I went to HKU space, and I tried to do the like walk-in interview in higher diploma of architecture just to try it out, and then trying it out, got rejected. Did foundation, got rejected. Went to VTC HKDI, rejected from higher diploma of
All
architecture.
on the same day.
All on the same day. 3 rejections in about 2 hours span, and I think that was pretty like heavy. Then I got into foundation, and then I mean, after HKDI you got rejected, right? Then I go down. It's in the same school in VTC. It's like, oh, there's foundation here. So I went to that booth, I applied, and then I got in. And then going home was quite painful, because I was looking through like Snapchat. At the time, Snapchat was a thing. I was like, oh, I got into HKU, I got into CU, and like, damn, the moment of regret, right? And I think that's something we can dive into. Like, that was kind of the one obstacles that I've had
Mhm.
were a lot of regrets.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was basically my high school and slash after high school.
Yeah. We'll get into
experience.
the obstacles bit as well, because
Yeah.
I think it's not easy taking an unconventional pathway,
Mhm.
especially for non-Chinese students like us, kind of
Mhm.
navigating everything on our own.
Mhm.
So maybe coming back to Neha, how about you? What was it like for you in school?
Yeah. I want to say a point will not define your future. Like, you still have chances.
Yes.
And he's an example here. He's
Mhm.
doing something great. So yeah, I'm proud of
Thank
you,
you.
although we
Thank
just
you.
met
Yay,
today.
we're proud of you.
Yes. So yeah, it's similar in terms of like the school culture. We had EK. I don't know about now, but I believe so even now. We were really good at sports and dancing.
Mhm.
So there goes about environment. I think I was also exposed to different kind of sports and dance. And I had to choose one because I was in the athletic team as well as in the dance team.
Mm.
So I loved both so very much. But then I think there was this artist inside me wanting to choose like a more creative performing art pathway. So I chose dance eventually. And I was also the captain of Latin dance in my school, along
Wow.
with doing different dances.
Mhm.
But yeah, there are good classes and bad classes, as you said.
Mhm.
And I was on the opposite. I was on the relatively well performing, let's not say
Mhm.
good.
Mm.
They performed better academically.
Nice.
And also my group of friends were more of like, high achievers.
Mhm.
And that also influenced me in some ways to do better. I think my mindset was like this, that whatever I'm going to set my mind into, I'm going to go and do it. Nothing can stop me. So that has been, I think, one of the driving forces. Although at times it's not easy when you're alone and then you're with your own thoughts, and then you have some maybe negative thoughts at night, like, okay, how can I do this? What's happening? But then you have to always remind yourself and talk to yourself in a positive way,
Yeah.
saying that I can do this.
Mhm.
I'm gonna go and achieve it. So yeah, I had a lot of exposure to both dance and sports. And my teacher, Miss Yu, at that time was very, very supportive of my dancing.
Mhm.
So she helped me get a GYDB program with
HKPA.
HKPA.
Mhm.
And I think she gave it out to a few other students, but I could feel that she genuinely wanted us to grow.
Mhm.
But I also feel like some of the teachers, like the career teachers, didn't know how to help students who wanted to get into like filmmaking and acting.
Mhm.
Eventually, when I was in S4, S5, we had ASD lesson, and at that
Sorry, what's ASD?
aesthetic development, yeah. And at that time, we could choose filmmaking. So I did that, and I had my basics to learn about angles, framing,
Wow.
all those film basic things. And then I also joined a musical drama in my high school at P4, P5 through ASD as well. So our teachers, I think they did try their best, but I also feel like still like it's pretty segregated here for non-Chinese to get into the local mainstream movie or even theater. Yeah, and I also had another teacher called Mr. Lee that I want to mention. He was like a godfather.
Shout out to
Mr.
the good teachers.
Yes.
Yeah, the great teachers.
Yeah, he was there supporting me all throughout from S1 to S6. He was a little goofy at times, so I think some students didn't really get that side of him, but I enjoyed learning, and I would get inspired from my teachers. And yeah, I think it is because of their effort that I could also continue on this path today. And ironically, rather than my university, I feel like in secondary school, we had way more chances to explore the things that we enjoyed and loved doing. Like, for example, my university, when I tried joining the drama team, they said, oh, you don't have like fluent Cantonese. Although I said I can speak, like for the writing, I'll try my best to like.
And everybody memorizes the lines and scripts, right? So like,
it's true.
you would be able to memorize it. Yeah.
So I was a little disheartened, but then one of my professors at that time connected me to another professor who would teach drama, and later we would go on to making 2 different musical drama productions, Animal Farm and My Fair Lady, in which I acted and also worked as a dance director. So I was happy that way, but it's not because of the university clubs or programs. It's because I connected with another professor, another person who was interested, was passionate in the same thing. Yeah. But in secondary school, I think I had way more chances to explore all these different
Mhm.
sides like sports and performing arts, dance.
So for the chances that you mentioned that you got in secondary school, were these clubs or classes provided as extracurricular ECAs, or like outside organizations would come? Like, how did these opportunities come to the students?
I think before my year, they might not have had the musical drama one.
Mhm.
They invited other organizations to come and teach in the ASD lesson.
Right.
So maybe a year or two above me, they started having ASD. In my year, they had musical drama. In the year after me, they had the fashion show. I didn't get to be a part of the fashion show. So I think the teachers were looking for what the students are interested in, and then they hired other company. But I think there could have been way more resources to help us connect. Like, how do we go for auditions, casting, where to find the agents?
Oh, right.
It's just like, okay, you do it one drama, we perform, and that's it. And how do we further go and make our career out of it? I think there was a bit of disconnect in that pathway. So you had to be, or I had to be like adamant, like, oh, I'm not gonna give up. I'm still gonna find ways, find people, and you had to do it by yourself. Yeah.
I didn't know that high school had this kind of extracurricular activities, because I didn't have that. What was it called again?
Aesthetic development.
Yeah, I don't have this.
So they would bring in, like, collaborate with outside organizations and bring in specific activities.
Yeah.
So kind of like how you bring Build It
Oh, yes.
to the students. Yeah. So that, I guess that would be kind of like an exposure for the students. You didn't have that.
I mean, yeah, I was gonna say, like, just like I didn't have that in school. I mean, we had to kind of reach out to the school, but for you, it's like your school had to kind of your school reached out because they kind of cared for
the students. And I would also like to thank my principal of that time, Principal Lee. He really cared about what the students were interested in, like
that is important.
sports, dance, instead of just the academics, because you can have success in different fields. It's not just academically. If you do well, you're the best, right? You can be the best in different field, or the best you can be. So at that time, my principal listened to the students. Because of him, we were able to invite. And I think some other principals are not really like that. They would like the students to focus on academically the most. Yes.
Yeah. So you guys shared about being in primary, being in secondary, and getting those initial, I guess, moments of inspiration and the type of opportunities that kind of made it clearer to you that you wanted to go into acting, filming, dancing, and you wanted to go into architecture. So when did that turn into reality? What were some of the first steps you had to take to really start going into these pathways?
Yeah. So for me, after high school, as I said about the story, I got accepted to VTC Foundation. And then, going into Foundation, at first, I was thinking maybe I should go into sports because easier, as I would think. Or maybe it's actually not, but that's what in my mind, like, it's easier than architecture. So simultaneously in VTC, I was training and prepping myself to playing for the national team.
How did you get into the national team? What was the steps there as well?
That step, actually, it all started when I first got into VTC. When I first got into VTC, I thought that this is going to be a year of waste, or another year of, like, being in an environment of people who didn't really try. But it's not it, because when I went into class, there was a lot of ethnic minorities, and we're all there because we want a second chance. We all knew that we wanted to try harder, and we wanted to succeed in what we wanted to succeed on. Then being with them, our routine, usually either we would go to school early, either go to swimming because there's a swimming pool nearby, go to the gym in the morning, do our classes, go to the library together, mess around, but not really, but more focus on, like, academically and trying to be good at, like, just answering questions, I would say, or just doing, like, normal school stuff. And then we'd go to gym, and then end of day. And because of that, they have instilled kind of a discipline, instilled this thing of, like, mentality. And that process, after school, I would go training, and I would train for clubs, and I do it all secretly. And it's because I just didn't want to, because at the time I had this felt of regret after DSC because I didn't get what I wanted. So instead of like saying it out loud, I would just do everything like in the shadows, as you can say. And then I would do my trainings almost 5 times a week. I would train. I would go to clubs and train, or either I would go to the government gyms and train there. And for 5 months, I've been prepping. And then for that 5 months, we did a selection process that was December, like almost half of the term on VTC. And I traveled to Philippines, and then we did a selection period. And of course, it's super difficult.
So you decided that you wanted to go for the tryout. So you applied for it by yourself.
Yes, applied it for myself. Wanted to do the tryouts, and then I also like wanted to see if I should do sports or should I do architecture, because at that time I still have them two side by side. Then I did that, and then I got selected, and I played, and it was one of probably the great experience for me, is because that time when I finally, as crazy as it sounds, when I finally announced that I got into the national team, I thought that my friends would be more, actually my friends or high school friends would be more supportive, but there was more hate than more support. I think, you know,
the ops,
so,
the haters.
And it's actually real that this happened. And then I realized that, and then I realized, okay, then this is the reason why I always kind of don't announce the things that I've done, and always when I finish something I kind of announce it. But yeah, during that I was doing sports, and I was just I was quite, I would say, fulfilled. But somehow doing rugby I realized waking up I don't feel the same way as how I felt as the story I told about like doing something physical, doing something tangible. I would always like wake up early and try to do some work for my VA lessons. I would love to do that. So after playing for the national team, I call it quits afterwards. Then after calling it quits, I focused on architecture. And actually 2 of my friends who were in foundation with me also wanted to pursue architecture. So both of us, we are not great in maths. We're not great in maths at all. Actually 3 of us. We're not great in maths. But we took the extra maths where it's called M1 in VTC. Yeah, and then we actually went to the class and actually passed that. I never thought that I would pass that.
Did you have to prepare for it? Like, how can you just pass it? Like, I'm sure you had to.
Yeah, because we both studied together.
Oh.
And that's the lesson learned.
Yeah.
The environment. I always say this, environment is really the key. You know, in high school, messing around, and I didn't get the results I wanted. And then in VTC, where we finally take our life seriously, and not too serious, but in a way where you kind of take care of yourself. And during that time, we actually take care of ourselves and really just put our heads on and, you know, work really hard. And then that's when my academics start to really get better. Like that's the first time I've not seen like U's or F's in my report cards, because during high school that's all I have. My parents would always say like, oh, it's like your report card swearing at me every year. You know,
the F's and the U's.
Yeah, and then now it's like I'm able to kind of show my report card, and my parents would be proud of it. And of course, when your parents are like proud of you, and even the slightest things, that's kind of great, right? And then afterwards I got into higher diploma in architecture, and then that's when I would solely focus on architecture. There was no sports involved. It was more focused on just architecture alone. Then I finished my higher diploma, finished my bachelor's, and then here I am now working as an architecture designer.
So is it when in VTC, when you realize that, oh, I am capable of doing this, you know, if I put my mind into it, that's when the steps became a little bit clearer for you?
Yep.
And here you are. Here you are now.
I mean, it got clearer because of just the surrounding of people, being with like-minded people. Because, you know, when you get into VTC, a lot of people have their own, like, I want to try this course, I want to try this course. But when you get into higher diploma, there are more people who are more like-minded, who also are passionate about architecture. And then they as well want to work together. But there's some people who don't want to work together with you, because some people, actually majority of creative people, they love to be in their bubble. And that's one thing I realized about architecture. But I think that's not how you survive architecture school. But I think that we can talk about that because I could say we started off with 43 students and then actually 40 or 30 something students, and we only 6 people graduated. So we will
cliffhanger.
We'll get to that.
Come back to
But
that.
yeah,
Wow.
But yeah, thanks for sharing. And we're so glad that you found that environment and that support system where things you wanted to do back when you were in school, now it was turning into reality. And not an easy path. You had to take a lot of steps, but you did it. And then, how about you, Neha? When you decided, okay, I'm gonna go for it, what were some of the steps, tangible steps that you had to take?
So my path, I think I've been simultaneously doing like 3 different things. One is like dancing, one is for filmmaking / acting, and the other is pursuing my bachelor's in contemporary English studies. So it was year 2015 when I graduated, and at that time I was in a acting program in IAFT, International Academy of Film and Television. I think it's not here anymore in Hong Kong, but that time I think that was the only place as a non-Chinese we could go to like hone this art. So I was thinking, what should I do? Like, would I have the financial backing to move to another country to learn, to pursue acting? And even if I do that, like, is there going to be financial security when I like come out of the school? Because this is a field where you need to be like financially strong so that you can pursue, because your bills has to be paid.
Hong Kong's not cheap.
Yeah, Hong Kong is very expensive. And at that time, because my group, we were all like, you know, pretty hardworking. So I got like offers from different places. And one of them was like a direct entry to a university, Lingnan University. That's where I studied for the English program. And English is something I think I was good at back in high school, and my DSE score was pretty good. So I was like, this is something like I'm not so passionate about, but I do enjoy doing it. I can like, you know, go there and have a good enough time, if not passionately do it. So yeah, when I was in the acting program, I got the acceptance notice, and I was like really elated. I was like, oh my God, I'm in university. I have a path. But I was like, okay, what about my creative? What should I do? And I think that time I was also doing the GYDP dance program.
In APA.
Yeah. So 3 things at the same time. And I talked to my parents, my family, and they told me to pursue my bachelor's, finished studies, and after that, whatever I want to do is up to me, and they will support. But just story short, when I was graduating, those years were the COVID times when it hit, and it did really hurt my career as a dancer, actor. And I just jumped really far from like just graduated to COVID. But in between, of course, I had chances. I made videos for both dancing and films. I was in local mainstream movie sets, but not as extra or like the sister of the main character or something like that. And throughout, I think the stories that they make on non-Chinese locals is very like stereotypical here as well. So I would hope that the director or the producer, whoever is writing the script, can also have a non-Chinese creative in the set to check whether everything is all right or not. Of course, it would be the best if we could have our own non-Chinese locals to also be a part of those sets and make their films, because I feel like we have a lot of stories that we can tell through our lens, and I'm pretty passionate about that as well. So yeah, I came across different, and this is something that you also have to be ready to get rejected, because you go on auditions. It's nerve-wracking, especially if it's your first few auditions, and then there's just camera, and then you just have to say the dialogue. And my Cantonese is like not great, but then I can still speak fair to fluent, somewhere in between. It just depends on how much I use it, how often I practice it. It becomes better. So yeah, I had to also audition with some Chinese scripts. But yeah, throughout I did go for auditions. I have looked for agencies, but I haven't really found like a proper one that could like, you know, cater to someone who looked like us. So that is still something I'm trying to figure out. And I don't know, Universe has been bringing me a lot of dance opportunities. So throughout the years, I collaborated with different organizations, And they would also reach out to me to ask, like, do you have this number of dancers? We have an event on this day. We need, we need to perform for like this amount of time. And I would do all the managing, negotiating, and find the people. So as I did it, I think recently I was like, why don't I just have my own company name? Since I've been doing it for years anyway.
Nice.
So that's when I planned to open Rangmanch. And my sister Saru Didi, she also supported me with, she just gave me that push. Like, she's like, you can do it, just give it a name. And I was like, what should I name? So we were like, it has to be something catchy. So Rang is like colors, different colors. Munch means platform. So to give you platform
So nice.
to explore your different colors. So let's see how that's gonna go. And and that's how I also went to the Miss Hong Kong, Nepal.
That was during secondary school or
That
during
was-
university?
That was 1 year after graduating secondary school. And when I went for that audition, I hadn't tell anyone in my family or none of my friends, because I was like, what if I don't make it? What if this? But I was like, let's stay positive. I actually made a list of pros and cons of why to go. But I was like, if I don't give it a try, I'll never know. And you only have one life. So I was like, I'm gonna go for it. And that time I didn't really know much about makeup and grooming and all that. I learned a lot of these. I think I got the foundation for this from there. And they also trained us with media, walking on the stage and everything else. So it was a really cool experience. But what after that is completely on you. And if your family is not from a creative field or field like this, it's really hard for you to really go out and figure out, because you don't have like a set path. For example, as a teacher, that's my other path. I know what to do, right? I need to study, I need to graduate, get PGDE, I need to get a TESOL, these certificates. But as a creative, you're like completely you don't know what to do, and you just have to go and figure out. And I think writing is very like important in manifesting and achieving the goals. So that's what I would do. Like, I'm gonna look for this. I'm gonna go for this audition. I'm gonna go for this networking event. So I would write it down and try to achieve those goals. And through IAFT also, I got some auditions, some castings. And through that later, like after 1-2 years, they were like, maybe the AD in the set, AD is assistant director, or maybe the production manager would like find me like, hey, we have this project. And that is after a year or two of me doing IAFT. So that's how your connections can
So
also...
the connections you built a few years ago, eventually came
to find,
connected.
And they would tell me, you can go to Facebook, on these pages they have castings. But at that time, usually I would see it for Caucasian, those kind of, and I'm like, this is so limited for us. What can we do here? And through one of the projects I worked in, it was with IFVA. They make films, and then they're also giving a platform for non-Chinese like us to make our movies. I got to get connected with different creatives of non-Chinese. So because we have similar mindset, we have been through similar experiences. I feel like the work we put together to make one vision come true becomes stronger together. And I also feel like I can see upcoming talents, that want to make it into this field. Probably our students watching.
Some of our students have taken part in that program
IFT
and
as
created
well.
short films as well.
Yes, so I think this is high time that we can come together and make this possible.
nice. And you also create your dance reels on Instagram. You've been boosting that a lot. And it seems like you put a lot of creative effort into it as well. Do you mind sharing a little bit about that, and how has that kind of helped you become more visible in the space?
So when I was a potato back in high school, I didn't even have camera that time. And I would ask my dad, can you get me a camera? And I think my aunt had like this Nokia, very digital, the old version of the camera. And you can't really film high quality things with that. But I practiced making films or, with my friends back in high school. But they were not as serious as me. So I think it was only after I graduated, after Miss Hong Kong, Nepal, I had some connections. And I told them my ideas, like I want to make videos like these, dance videos. And I think that also helped me reach out to so many other people that I wouldn't have if I hadn't hadn't had made the videos. And that's how I met a lot of friends like Hanisha, Nada back then. Before COVID, it was really happening. So it was not just like a dance video, but I would put like a concept in it. Yeah, so tell some sort of story, use different angles instead of just like one plain wide angle dance video. So it was really fun. I think I was having one of the high times in my life. But like the saying goes, the roller coaster, right? If there's high, there's also low. And COVID hit after. Yeah.
That's difficult.
And and my friends went around in different parts on their own way. My really good friend that time, Nada, she went back to Hawaii, and Hanisha was busy doing other projects or other things. And for a moment, there were no performances happening, nothing. So it was like really low that time, and I would also question a lot, like, what am I doing? What should I be doing? And I think it got to a moment that I was like, okay, I want to change. I don't want to like sit here. So that is when I decided to go to India to further my training in dancing and acting. And that was a very scary decision because I knew no one in India at that time. And I was born and raised up in Hong Kong. So I like a little bit of, you know, quality of life in terms of like food and, you know, everything. It's a bit, I mean, there's both sides in India, but well, I don't come from a very wealthy family, so I had to just adjust with whatever environment. It was a decent little house I had to share with a model that I had never met before, that I got connected through the dance studio, sharing a bed. So I would like, let's put a pillow in the middle. And then after 1 month, she was like, why even put it, you know? But I was not comfortable. Yeah. But yeah, I got to learn a lot there. I got sick a lot also because I think of the change of the environment, the food.
How long were you there for?
I was there for about 5 to 6 months.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's quite a half a year.
Yeah,
Half a
that's
year.
a long time.
Yeah, a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah, and on your own, just without any family or friends. But I made friends in my dance studio. And the reason why I chose the studio is because she's Shakti Mohan. So she was one of my idols growing up, dance idols. She was in India dance back then, maybe.
The DID era.
Yeah. There was like a huge, you know, like we had a huge thing about watching DID that time. And we would get inspired. Oh, she did this move. She did this flip. Oh my God, how can we, like, you know, recreate it? Yeah, my friend back in high school, Kirandeep, she's in UK now. We used to experiment with these moves a lot. So we used to do the human cartwheel thing. Like she would carry me and then we'd go.
What you see in the performances.
Yeah, we were just, no
crazy
techniques.
stuff.
We're just trying to recreate it. I learned a lot about techniques when I went to APA. And I learned that if you don't follow the correct technique, you're going to get hurt. So I was like, wow, that whatever I did was crazy. I should have like done it the proper way.
Yeah.
The youth energy kept you intact. Yeah.
But that time even, if you do it wrongly, like I think your body can fix itself after a month or so. But yeah, thankfully we didn't get hurt. So thankfully we didn't get hurt. And in India I spent about 6 months. It was a course called MAPC, Movement and Performance Conservatory, where we were taught different forms of dance. We were also taught about nutrition, about capoeira, fitness, and musicality. So as a dancer, we're not only trained to move, but also to understand how to decode the beats, whether there's a snare drum or like a bass drum, like
very technical
There's so
stuff.
many things. I didn't know that. There's so many like behind the scenes stuff.
Exactly, it's all connected. And I also had one session with Shakti's sister, Mukti Mohan, and she's into acting. She's an actress in India. She has her own studio for acting. That's where I learned. So weekdays was my dance, weekend was my acting. That's where I learned my acting classes. And she taught us one class where it was about abhinaya. So abhinaya means to put forth emotion or to put forth a performance. So she would say how, you know, the way we express, it's like we're giving the audience a feeling and it's them to receive what we give and then interpret. So that's kind of like the art, like she was trying to share.
You always have great expressions in your dance videos as well.
Really?
Like it reminds me of like the Dance India dance videos that I would watch back in the day, where they're so expressive with their emotions when they're doing the performances as well. So we see that in you as well. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. That means a lot. Yes.
Yeah.
So it's all interconnected. So I think that's how I got also more captivated by the art of storytelling, acting through dancing first. Like dancing was my base of foundation at first. Now I transitioned. So yeah, it's very messy. I feel like I'm doing 3 different things at the same time. Yeah, like I think at this moment I don't have this thing like I must make it as an actor or anything. I'm like, whatever universe gives me, you know, I'll be happy with it. Wherever I am today, I'm really content. I'm really happy. I have a great job. I love kids. I get to teach, and I also see which kids are creative. Like I can sense it, and I try to like give them boost also in classes. So hopefully they can pursue whatever they want to. Like there's not only one field they have to go in the future, right? So yeah, and then I have my dance, and then I recently did my film, and this film also was from my connections I met in different sets or like in different screenings. You get to meet, and you just gotta put yourself out there, no matter what people say. You know, people will say stuff no matter what. So believe in yourself and just keep going forward with what you have in you.
Yeah, that is so inspiring. Doing multiple things at once. You know, sometimes you don't know what you want to do. You know, it's okay to try them all, right? And to see which one you want to pursue.
And this is something we always try to remind or share with our students as well, like the transferable skills and just accumulating knowledge, experience, and building yourself as a person, so that no matter where life takes you or whatever transitions you decide to make in the future, at least you have that sort of grounding for yourself. So yeah, thanks so much for sharing from both of you guys. And I guess just to also, I'm curious about what your day-to-day life is as a creative artist, as an architect. What is something that, you know, helps you get out of bed feeling motivated, or maybe on some days when you're not feeling as motivated, what are those days like for you in these career fields?
Like for me, the reason why I wake up every day is because I get to know that there's things that are being built. I get to see my work come to life. I think there's no other feeling than, you know, you just sketching it on your sketchbook, and then your sketchbook becomes a reality. And that's why every morning, you know, I'll wake up like I'm going to be building something today. It's the same exact feeling back in primary school, back in high school, that fueled me was building things. I mean, I don't physically go there and build it, but to kind of draw it out and to get your ideas out there, turning your vision into reality, is something that wakes me up every day. And also, like currently, like I get to travel to different places. I get to design in Mongolia. I get to go to Philippines. I get to go back to my hometown, and I get to do designs there. And also back here in Hong Kong, also have my own, we also design things here. So it's quite nice to, you know, go overseas, see different cultures, see different ways of design. And I think it's just me being curious. And I think that's what wakes me up every day, knowing that, you know, I'm able to try different things. I'm able to know that it's okay to fail. I mean, in the line of creativity, before things gets to where it's supposed to, you have to fail a lot in between. You got to learn like, oh, this is not the right technique for this. This is not the right efficiency. So you'll learn along the way. And I think that's also one thing I strive for, is the ability to be okay that if a system doesn't work, we're able to kind of change it. We're able to kind of fix it. And it's something like that. I think that's the great thing about creativity, as what you mentioned, like there's no set path on creativity. There's different ways on how you do it. It's all about the execution. So yeah.
And what about on days where you're not feeling, I mean, are there days when you're not feeling as motivated?
Yes.
Or maybe some of the self doubts or negative thoughts come into your mind? How do you usually tackle that?
Yeah, so I can tap onto this. Like, the most difficult time, I would say, as an architect for me personally, is during uni. Because in uni, I would say the best way to frame it, think about architecture school as the master chef.
I was thinking that as well.
Think of it as the master chef, where what they're trying to do there is they know that you are passionate about cooking. They know that you're passionate about design, architecture, but they're there to try to break your spirit because, and I'll tell the reason why, is so just to like go back, like during your year 1 and year 2, the great thing about studying architecture is that you get to understand your personality. You get to understand how you turn kind of your type of personality, your taste of design into something physical. How do you do that, right? And that's the best thing about year 1 and year 2. And then going to year 3, where you're filled with all this like positivity, and that's when your tutor starts to kind of break your spirit. And then year 3, I would like, this is my design, and I found this design where you can kind of interlock and do this. Like there's a lot of things that I've done in my design that I wanted to try. I said, what's the point of this? This doesn't make sense. And there's always that it happens every week.
Why do they think they do that? Why do you think they're extra harsh on you?
And I think the reason why is because after I finished year 3, I actually messaged him and thank you for being for teaching me accountability, and said, because we want to see if you have a great intention for architecture, because architecture is about building for the people, not building for you, right? And I think if you're there as an intent for just yourself, it doesn't work like that. So them trying to break your spirit is them to see is, are you just doing this for money? Are you just doing this for the sake of it? Or you're doing this because you want to lead with your heart? And I think that's kind of the lessons there. And I always say this, like, the obstacles and the support system is super important when you study architecture. And I'm actually grateful for my fiance, because during that time,
shout out.
Yeah, like during that time, year 3 I've never felt that type of intense criticism. I mean, during year 1, year 2, you get criticized. I think that's their point to help you improve. But for them to kind of trying to break you down, having that support system where it's okay that you go, because when you study architecture school, you're committed. You're there 24 hours, 7 days a week. Like, I'm not even kidding. Sometimes I sleep in the studio and wake up, and that's what I do. And sometimes when you're in a relationship, it's quite difficult because, you're like, oh, you don't see me. Like, we only see once a week or once every 2 weeks. But what I'm grateful for is that she understood, and she understood the commitment I have for architecture. I think that's also important. So yeah, and I
support system. Yeah,
support system
to get through the hurdles and the obstacles.
So I think that's one reasons why they do that is because they just want to see how would you do it, because actually in the real world, many people is not going to like your design. Some people is not going to like what you present, but because they want to see that if you believe in something, how do you fight for it? That's also one thing they want to take from you. And I think that's some of my cohorts, some of my classmates, we learned how to fight for what we want, but at the same time not being too naive, but also doing it for the people. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks for sharing that. Very
is
intense.
your routine like that now? Like you're spending most of the time in office, or do you have more free time to balance with?
I would say when you graduate and you finally work full time, you're more committed on the work first in the first few years, I would say. And the reason why is because you're trying to build the system. Because when you first start, there's process for things to be built. So you need to kind of really understand, and you need to set your standards. I think this also goes same with dancing, right? You have to set your own standards, and in order to do that, you have to go through this trials and errors about these kind of things. But I would say after uni, I had more free time. I'm able to kind of go do. I was able to teach, be an instructor. Able to have more free time to spend time with family, spend time with my fiance, and I think after when uni's over, you are already kind of, your skin is so thick that it's fine. You don't take things too personal, because I realize if you take things personal, then your work becomes 3 times longer. But then if you learn to like take it in and like take this criticism and say, okay, head on, then you wouldn't put too much time into it, I would say.
So the university years were kind of prepping you to face the real world, so that no matter what comes in your way, you're prepared for it, and you won't be swayed by the criticisms and things like that.
And this is why I love, this is the one thing, like lastly, like I think this is the one thing I like about architecture school that's different from everything else, is because it's there to kind of prep you for the real world, not creativity, and not just building buildings, because as I mentioned, that when we first started, we were 43 students and we end up
Mm.
with 6 graduates. And it's because during that period of creativity, they realized I want to do fashion.
Mm.
I want to do graphics. I want to do
Mm.
computer development. They have different type of field, and they were able to have the guts to be like, I'm okay,
Mm.
and I'm gonna switch to a different field. So in reality, they all had their own different focus that they want, but at the same time, half of the students also didn't make it through
Mm.
because it's very difficult. I think it's also very mentally draining.
Mm.
So it's also like they also want the uni life.
Mm.
I think when you study architecture, I don't want to say this because I don't want to kind of let people. I don't want to let people know like you're not supposed to take architecture school, but I would say there won't be too much of a uni life. You'll have some, but not as much as
It's a
normal
tough
student.
field. Yeah.
It is a tough field, but
Yeah.
it's also for a great purpose.
Yeah.
You did this in 4 years or longer?
This is 4 years.
4 years,
Mhm.
okay.
Actually, 1 year foundation, then 4 years of architecture school.
Because my friend is also an architect and she did 7 years, so maybe it was more spread out.
Oh,
Or-
I would think that she did her master's.
Okay.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, tough field.
Interesting, yeah.
So
You
self-care
made it.
is also very
Yeah.
important along the way,
It is.
right? Yeah, just making sure you're
Mm.
not drained all the time and
Yeah.
finding time for yourself. Hopefully, you found time for yourself as well
Yeah.
on the side.
Mhm.
And how about you for you, Neha? Like, once you started, maybe let's say specifically talking about like teaching dance, how did you get into find your clients? And now that you do it on a regular basis, what does that look like for you?
Okay, I'm trying to like go back on the first client. I think it was back in, I was already teaching dance in my school, so I think it was already like training me to understand needs of the students and what they're looking for, how their body types, make it different, like when they're moving. So I was already learning to identify these little things in high school, and I think my first client I got was when it was around 2016, when it was one of the teach parties I went to attend, and I think this is maybe around the time Miss Hong Kong or even before. And that time, some other DDs had seen me dance, and then she invited me to teach in her center in one of the centers in Yulong at that time. So that's how I started my first group class, and from there, I did Miss Hong Kong, Nepal. I think that brought in a lot of attention of local Hong Kong Nepalese here to me, and then they saw that they kind of knew, I think from the word of mouth or maybe from my videos, that I dance. So I would get, and I think at that time we didn't have a lot of Nepalese dancing group. There were 1 or 2, but it was not really really well known at that time. So they would just come approach me, and then I would do one thing, and then somebody else would see. So word of mouth, by seeing my videos, and when I'm performing, they would like try to reach out. So that's how I got to know. Even today, like I do get some like DMs like that. Could you teach? And after I put myself out, like people knew, there were organizations, dance organizations in Hong Kong, like the Nepalese one, were also like reaching out and finding. And I think I got more known for like Nepali and Bollywood kind of dance genres. So or dance fortes. So that's how I got reached out by different organizations in Hong Kong. And from there, I also got interviews with like some local Hong Kong TV stations like RTHK, View TV. So yeah.
I remember you did an interview for View TV as well, right?
Yes.
Was that also to kind of share more about your work and just, I guess, share a little bit about our culture, our communities in the local media?
Yeah, I was there to like, I think, spread more awareness about the non-Chinese also, because they usually, I feel like it's been like 4 to 5 generations of us living here, and then they just put us in the box, calling us Southeast Asian EMs, not giving the importance, and that's how they also show us in the screens, right? That's how a lot of people here perceive us as, okay, maybe troublemakers, they're gonna get married earlier, yada yada yada, those kind of things. So I knew like maybe they're gonna have very stereotypical questions for me, but I was there to kind of like, from my perspective, my lens, also like kind of like educate them, if I
Yeah.
may say, you know, about our culture. And I think they just asked me questions about Bollywood at first, but I told them, oh, we could do different kind of dancing too. I actually started with ballet. It's not even related to Bollywood or Nepali, and then I did this is this. So through a dancer, I shared in that interview, and I had a performance. And one section was to teach the host to dance with me together. So yeah, it was a fun like shoot. Yeah.
Were there any other obstacles or challenges that you had to come across when you were pursuing your career fields, and how did you kind of tackle those as well?
So I think like our communities are already very small of non-Chinese people, and inside within the community sometimes there are people who tend to get divided, and if we are divided, it's really hard to even make it later on the top, because Hong Kong is bigger than just our little community, right? So I think we can support one another. Yeah, like one of the experiences where because I try my best to put my all when I work in a project, so I was called something relevant to a perfectionist, you know, and I don't know, is it because am I a lady? That's why that person is referring me with that tag,
And not in a positive way, right? Like not
more
calling you
sarcastic kind of way. And yeah, there are many things like this also happening, like because of this. Things does not happen on time, does not finish on time. So I feel like we can, you know, think about how can we make this better? What are our expertise, and then come together to make this community more supportive. Because with support, I feel like we can go further than just looking at each other and being envious of, oh, that person is doing this person is doing that. Because at the end, if you're putting your hard work, then you're going to be seen in the front, and then it's easy to get the criticisms also. At the moment, I think, like JJ said, I've built a thick skin, but I wish for the community to be more like supportive rather than divided amongst each other.
Yeah. Very true. Did you ever have similar experiences as well?
Yeah, I mean, especially in architecture school, you know, for us, the way how we submit our assignment is we would pin it up in a board, and all of us can see all of our works. And a lot of times some people might think you're a try-hard, or some people might think that, you know, you're trying too much
for putting in the effort.
Yeah, putting in the effort. And, you know, some of them maybe because they didn't do their work properly, and that's sometimes that kind of divides a lot of the people, I would say, is because then you're trying to work so hard, and then someone's trying to, you know, drag you down. But as time goes by, you know, you start to be, because in architecture school, you start off, I as I said, like you start off with 43 students, and then you end up like it gets smaller and smaller. And when it gets smaller and smaller, it's actually in the positive, because then these are people who are actually there because they know that they have this passion for architecture, and they also want to help you. So in my final years, we are more helping each other a lot. And when we present our work, and when we have questions, and when we have ideas, we actually help to integrate some of our ideas together, which is quite nice. And these are the things that when I go back to my uni, because sometimes they ask me to have like a dialogue with their juniors, and I would always explain how, as a creative, it is easy to be in your bubble. It is easy to just do things alone, but you have to learn how to work together. Because as an architect, you don't work alone. You work together to try to build something. So it's best that you work together, if you learn something, you can try to share your ideas, or during the presentation, you can share some of your ideas. I think that's what's going to help you finish architecture school. So yeah, and I keep telling them that, and then so I think those are the only struggles I had during architecture school. Doing work, it's more on, I would say, at work there isn't this kind of divide things. They're more on like, okay, I'll help you. Let's try to help each other. I think it's because we're already trained back in uni that if you work alone, you wouldn't get the benefit out of it.
Yeah, that's true. And like I see that sometimes as well, like even when we're running our classes and everything, there are certain students who are very capable, and you know, they want to work on their own, and they manage to pull it off. But I've also seen when groups, they work together, they're really able to bring out the strengths in each other
Mhm.
and support each other. We don't know what happens behind the scenes, and we're still working on that. But that's very important, that in order for you to thrive, you do need that sort of support, that
Exactly.
community, that environment.
Mhm.
Maybe, like, for example, environments in school, but also in your adult life, you need that environment. And the reason why we also started PowerThru was because we saw that so many individuals in our EM communities, our ethnically diverse communities, are doing great work in their own ways, but there wasn't like a platform where we could bring everybody to give students as much exposure as we wanted to, because me and Shama or Bradley or our team going in, we cannot change everybody's perceptions or help the students, but we need a community. So which is where you guys come in, share your stories, and maybe it will resonate with students watching it, things like that. So actually, segue into that, before we end today's first episode with this cozy setup, are there any advice that you would like to give to maybe secondary school students, or even like thinking about when you were students yourself, what kind of advice or guidance you wish you would have received?
Do you want to go first?
Yeah, I can go first. So I think I would say my advice to students is that, you've known my story that I messed around in high school, but I really don't condone that. And the reason why is because to get to where I am today, I'm able to do a lot of failures during my university life. And sometimes I wish that I went through this failure throughout high school, because I think that's a great environment for you to go through trial and error, to build your system, to build your discipline. And it's okay to fail, and it's okay to kind of come back, and I wish I had that during high school. I wish to learn to actually answer a question properly, learn to actually like solve a problem, right? Sometimes maths is important because it teaches you how to have a problem, a solution, and an answer, right? And I wish I had that, because those are kind of the fundamentals of what you need in the real world too. Because if you don't have those disciplines, those systems that you've built, then it's going to be so hard to kind of adapt in the real world, I would say. So my advice is, now that you're in high school, learn to build a system like, this is the time I'm going to study, and this is the time I'm going to the gym, and this is the time where I'm going to spend time with my family. I think that's very important to learn this balance in high school, because sometimes we wouldn't care too much about these things, but I think it's important to really to instill this kind of things, because you will need that when you're going to university, because it gets twice as hard. And at least going through that, you already go through the struggles, so it's easier for you to kind of grasp into that. And my last advice is, I know I've talked about how difficult architecture school is, but if you are passionate about architecture, and when you join the Build It program and you have this love to build things, you will always make it. Because to survive architecture school is only two things: you believe in your design, and you work together. It's only these two. That is how I survived. That is how I've finished architecture school, and I'm always fulfilled almost every day. And it's because you get to see your things built in real life, right? This is I would say this is one of the profession where you get to do that. So yeah, I think that's the
and
advice.
follow-up question as well. What about for students who feel like, and it doesn't have to be architecture specifically, but for students who may feel like they don't believe in themselves right now, or they don't feel like they are the type of students who is able to create a system for themselves or discipline for themselves. Is there any advice you have for them as a big brother figure as well?
So first is, this is the reason why in my Build It program, you need the one person who tells you, I believe in you. During my uni, I had my family, my fiance, who tells me like they believe in what I do. And no matter how many criticisms you get, as long as you have a strong support system, then you're able to kind of push through in what you believe in. Maybe some of you might be in a tougher situation, which I have one of my classmates back in uni who didn't have any support system because they wanted her to do something else. And so how she managed is that when she's doing this architecture stuff, or when she's doing, I would say, her creative stuff, she would just put her personality to it, and because that's what makes her fulfilled. And I think that if you don't have a support system, then try to do what you love, because your passion can drive your motivation, I would say. And yeah.
At the end of the day, you have yourself, right? Sometimes you have to be your own cheerleader as well. Yeah, remind yourself. And how about you, Neha? What kind of advice you would give to yourself, to the students?
So I do agree with JJ that community is really important in supporting you, because at the end, when you go out, you'll be on your own. But with that said, you also need to be able to, I think, be comfortable of being by yourself, because when you graduate from high school, for me, I was the only one getting into the uni I went from my school. So I had, this is not the only time, even from primary to secondary, and then secondary to APA, then from that to my bachelor's, it was on my own. And in the beginning, it is uncomfortable a bit, because you're put in the new environment, new people, and then they don't really resonate with your experience. So you need to be able to, I think, regulate your emotions, talk to yourself. What am I gonna do, on your own, be comfortable with your own company, because I think not just for secondary schools, even for uni students, going out, finding a job, it's not easy, right? To figure out your own pathway. So yes, learn to live with yourself, but also with the community at the same time. And well, they do say DSE is important. I do think that you should also prioritize your studies. But if you have a passion of your own, don't give up on it. Find ways to make it happen. Like my example, right? If I would have just because of the failures, the rejections I got, just left it, I would have been nowhere. All these experiences I've had over the years, I would have achieved nothing. So be adamant, like, I can do it. And one of the great things that I learned to do was to write things down. Because sometimes you have a lot of things going on in your mind, and then you're very cluttered. You're not able to figure out, what am I supposed to do? What's my purpose? What should I be doing? So if you just write it down, I think half the problem is already solved. Then you figure as the time goes. And even like at this point, I feel like there are some things that I have yet to figure out, right? So you don't have to get everything done by just on one day. As life goes on, you'll see, okay, this next part is coming. How am I going to tackle this? How am I going to tackle that? And at the end, I feel like, as secondary school students or even adults, we tend to think, what are others going to think about, log kya kahenge, what other people will think. So just, come out of that thought. You don't need to, think about others. Think about what your heart intuitively, what you're wanting to do, and go and dive, further what you can. I think universe will just show you slowly your pathway, what to do. So don't worry too much. Even if you're not at the best stage of your life, there will be, if you're at the low, there will be a high, and that's how it's gonna go. So keep going, don't give up.
Yeah. Thank you guys so much for sharing not only your experiences and your learnings, but also just what you would like to share with the students. And I don't know, we've never done this before, so I don't know how to end this, but maybe if the students do have further questions about your career path and everything, or just your pathways, perhaps just reach out to one of us. So I think a lot of you have our WhatsApp numbers already through the programs, so we can definitely send these questions to Neha and JJ. And where can they find you on social media?
So I have both Insta and YouTube. I didn't have Insta when I was in Miss Hong Kong, Nepal, so I made it later. At neha.rai_, or YouTube is Neha Walihang. WALIHANG.
We'll also link those up. And JJ, I don't know if you, maybe not, is that your personal account or?
I mean, I have a personal account. I'm thinking of having, actually I already have a public account. It's called Javenture.
Oh,
I know,
okay.
it sounds, but
we see the vision.
But the idea is that it's just an adventure, because I go through a lot of adventures and I want to document them. I think that's something I wanted to do, is to document my adventures too. So yeah, you can find me there, or you could send me a message in IG, jayjay.lc, or come to the power party.
Yes, I was
Mhm.
actually going to say that if we come to your school and we are offering
Mhm.
a Build It course, join it, or during the summer program as well, we'll have a lot of courses on different career fields that you can explore.
Mhm.
So come join us. All right,
Yes.
then, that would be it.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.